Okay, my name is Don Deskins, and this is my wife Lou. And the pastor asked us to give a bit of testimony about giving and the rewards for giving. And we had a little story to tell about what happened to us in Kingsport, Tennessee. We were going to church there, and I'd just gotten out of school. I'd gone back to school to get a degree in computer science, and of course you can edit out all that junk that's not necessary. I got finished with school, and we decided to look for a house. And we looked all over, and Lou just happened to look in the newspaper, and she saw a house for auction.
I saw this house for auction. It was a little 1 inch by 1 inch picture of the house. And I saw that house and I knew immediately that that was going to be my house.
Well, she went and looked at the house, and I thought, that's a pretty nice house. It was a 100-year-old house, farmhouse. And we went to the auction, and I'd put a superficial type limit on it, that we were only going to this amount of money. Of course, it went over that, and we ended a little bit over that.
Yeah.
And we won the house. Well, at the same time, I lost my job. Long story short, I lost my job in the middle of that. And a friend was a mortgage broker, and she was helping us to get a loan and working us through that. And we couldn't let her know that I'd lost my job. Of course, that would make the loan fall through, which might mean we wouldn't get the house. So we really thought that that was a gift from the Lord. So we wanted to keep on track with it. Shortly after that, the pastor gave a sermon about giving. And we had started a building project, and that church didn't even have a building fund.
He asked for us to pledge an amount of money more than we could give on our own, that this had to be something that came from the Lord because it was more than we could afford to give. And he stipulated that if the pledge was more than you could give, if the Lord provided, then we were obligated to fulfill our pledge. And if the Lord didn't provide, then we were released from that pledge. So we wrote out a pledge for, we think it was about $2,000, which was way more than we could afford at the time. And we wrote out this pledge card. And before we actually even submitted the pledge card in,
I got a job. And it was my quote-unquote dream job, only it didn't pay all that much, but I loved the job. Fast forward
a few weeks.
It was a couple of months, and we attended Alpha, and let us say at this point, Alpha is a great program. If you're not involved with it, get involved with it. But we had a retreat, which comes at the end, and this was at Black Mountain, North Carolina.
We lived in Tennessee, and the retreat was in Asheville, outside of Asheville, North Carolina.
We made it to the retreat. We had a get-together that Friday night, and then we went to sleep when we went to classes the next day, and then they gave us the afternoon off, and we went looking for cars. And a little short story about the cars. Lou had got a car before we got married. It was the first car she'd ever picked out by herself. She'd always had her dad or somebody to pick it out for her, and she loved this car. Well, it came time to trade it off.
It was not working real well.
So I kind of like the Subarus, and I wasn't pushing for a Subaru, but there was a big Subaru dealership in Nashville, and supposedly it was the largest one east of the Mississippi. Well, at that time, $20,000 could buy you a brand new Subaru, and it was 0% financing. And Subaru was almost as expensive as a new one, and of course, if you financed it, it would cost you more at that point. Well, we looked and we just determined that's probably what we would get. Well, we came back Sunday morning, made it to church Sunday morning, and then we went out Sunday afternoon looking at the car lots, and we found a Subaru, and Lou fell in love with it. And it had dark windows on it, so we couldn't even see the mileage on it. But Lou fell in love with it. So the next day, she made phone calls and asked the pastor, she was working at the church, asked the pastor who would be a guy to talk to over there if he knew a salesman.
And he did know a salesman. He was someone who attended the church, and he, in fact, was on the Alpha weekend with us, but we hadn't met him. And so I went and talked to him and arranged to buy this vehicle by myself, and called Don at work and said, instead of going home after work, you better just come straight to the dealership and sign papers.
Well, so I went straight to the dealership to sign the papers. And while we were sitting there, he told the story that there's a blessing on his part too, that he attended the retreat under the objection of his boss. They were having this sales event on Saturday, and he was to be there, and they almost threatened to fire him. He came back on Monday and had 4 sales in one day, especially on a Monday. That's tremendous. So the Lord blessed his attendance. A couple weeks later, we had to get rid of Lou's old car. They weren't going to give us anything as trade-in. So we get a call from this same guy, same salesman. He said, I got a guy here that's looking for a car. And I said, you know what problems there are with it? He said, it doesn't matter. It's the right price for it. If it's the right price. I told him what I wanted for it, $1,000. And he said, great, we'll come and pick it up. So there we have it.
That $1,000 went to our pledge. We'd already paid off the first $1,000 over the months beforehand. So that covered the rest of our pledge, and we were...
So in about 8 months, and during that pledge time, we'd have a new job, a new house, a new car, and had that $2,000 paid off.